All right, guys, welcome to the Bare Bones Sports. We're here. We give you all insights on everything sports. My name is Laksh.
I'm Sumit.
So today we are going to get right into it and talk exactly where we think Julio Jones should be going, just because we already know the facts, Sumit, that he wants out. Everybody knows he wants out. So the real question is, where's the best place for him to go? So what do you think? Who is your number one team for Julio Jones to go to?
I think the obvious place is obvious to go to the New England Patriots. They're still working with Cam Newton and Mac Jones, who both have not. Cam Newton has never really had a great receiver in his career.
Smith, right?
Steve Smith to some degree, but they didn't really gel to the same degree. I think Steve Smith has, even with Jake Delhomme, so that's not going to work out in my view. I think he needs a big, deep threat in his career if they want to go that direction. And plus, if not, they have Mac Jones. You have to go all in at him. And this would be a sign. Saying that you want a top receiver that you never even gave Brady is a sign to say, all right, we realize our mistakes in the past. This is where we need to go. This is what we need to work with. And it's a sign of confidence in Mac Jones more so than I think Cam Newton, though.
Yeah, I don't think the Patriots, to be honest, are bought in completely into Cam Newton. They signed him to a one-year contract of $14 million, which I think is really their insurance policy in case Mac Jones is absolute garbage. So this argument that Julio Jones will be a better fit, I think the whole reason the Randy Moss experiment worked several years back is because they had Tom Brady. And so they didn't have to sell themselves on whether their quarterback is good enough. But I think this whole year they're going to be experimenting on whether or not Mac Jones versus Cam Newton. So putting Julio Jones in there, I think you're going to confuse yourself even more. Or maybe make it easier because you have Julio Jones. So if he's performing, he's getting yards like he's been doing for Matt Ryan for the last 12, 13 years. I don't know. However long he's been in the NFL.
10 years.
10 years.
2011 to 2021.
So all of that, I think maybe it gives you more clarity, but I don't think that's enough because you have to trade some assets to get Julio Jones. I don't know who the Patriots would trade to give it. Maybe Cam Newton.
That actually might be an interesting option, but I don't think the Falcons would move away from Matt Ryan.
The Falcons would be more and more confused. My number one pick, and I feel like statistically this makes so much sense because you have a team here that actually has a quarterback in the Baltimore Ravens who we know who can get yards. Your quarterback can definitely put up stats. But when you look up
running,
when you look up the one team that did the worst in passing offense back in 2020, who was that? Baltimore Ravens. Getting less yards than the New York Jets and the New York Giants, which are both absolute garbage teams at the moment because they're still trying to figure out and convince themselves that they have a quarterback. But the Baltimore Ravens know who their quarterback is, and MVP Lamar Jackson. And so while they do get touchdowns when they get close to the end zone, having somebody who can constantly get them those offensive yards when Lamar Jackson, as we've seen in the playoffs, gets held by a great offensive team, and giving him another threat. The same way that Patrick Mahomes is getting stacked up with talent after talent around him, I think it makes sense that you have enough assets on the Baltimore Ravens that you can give Lamar Jackson his chance of doing well, especially when he's young. And you have no idea when he may get hurt with the way he runs and the way he plays. So I think Julio Jones to the Baltimore Ravens, to me, makes the most sense.
I think no matter what, whoever gets Julio Jones, it's a sign of confidence in whatever quarterback you have. It's a clear sense of, all right, here's a Ferrari for your 16th birthday. This is what it is. And yes, Lamar Jackson would benefit from it. I don't think that's a deny. I don't think you could deny that point. Mark Andrews has proven to be a decent asset for them. Having a deep threat will probably be a decent accessory for that offense and will allow them to maybe take the top off the defenses, which we've never really seen the Ravens do. I just think the Patriots are more likely to do it because, well, we know as much as anyone can Google this, that the Ravens haven't really paid a receiver.
It's true.
Of any quality up to $8 million.
But they also haven't had a quarterback who they could trust prior to Lamar Jackson. You're going to have to pay that man eventually. And so I think if you're going to make that investment, then you invest in your offense. In the past, before Lamar Jackson, you had the Joe Flacco experiments, who they definitely paid, but as soon as he got paid, now he's on the Jets. So, for all that's worth, I think that although they haven't paid a receiver in the last X amount of years, if this is the receiver that you should put up some assets for, why not?
I'm still sticking with the idea that the Patriots will learn from their last 5 years. The only reason Tom Brady left is because he didn't have those weapons. And the second he got to the Bucs, he wins a Super Bowl.
That's reasonable.
So
should you really just go to the Bucs? Everybody in the comments will be like, not another championship for Tom Brady, please.
I mean, I think that is a very decent incentive.
So let's get to the latter part of this episode, which is who are your dark horses or your main dark horse to potentially just swoop up Julio Jones without us really being prepared?
Well, the Titans are always a great option. They have a great running offense. I don't think we have to say anything other than the words Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill's there, and he's produced surprisingly well with that great run defense.
How well he's been doing.
He's been efficient, and that's as much as you can ask from somebody who isn't really expected to do all that much. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback in my view. He's not really a Pro Bowl quarterback in my view. Can't recall if he made one, but
he's good enough.
He's good enough, and if you want to give him a decent enough chance to do more than that, or be someone who can really take over games, or at least test the opportunity. Yes, you have A.J. Brown on your side, but it would be useful to get Julio Jones as well.
Two threats to catch the ball. What about the Eagles? Think about it. The
Eagles have an opportunity.
They've gotten rid of Carson Wentz because they didn't believe in him. They've kind of redone their whole roster, but they're essentially semi-committing to Jalen Hurts, although they're still telling him that everything is a competition.
Yes.
But you give him a weapon like Julio Jones, and then you give yourself a threat that we believe Jalen Hurts could be, not necessarily passing, but more Lamar-esque running and being a deep threat in terms of just keeping defenses on their toes. Eagles kind of make sense.
I find maybe to some degree, I think Jalen Hurts is a better passer than Lamar Jackson is, or at least he's proven it in college, and I thought he played well.
We'll see this year. We will find out.
We will find out. Right.
So Julio Jones, as you guys heard, their top four teams being the Patriots, the Ravens, the Eagles, and the Titans. So if he goes to any of those, you heard those here first.
Yes, if he went to one of 5 to 32 teams, you heard it here.
Hey, or whenever in Vegas. Yes. Just bet with some...
bet all your assets.
There you go. All right, guys. But hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did enjoy it, just go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. I'm putting out more videos just like this one on a weekly basis. And if you guys have more suggestions of things that we should react to, things that we should talk about in future episodes, drop those down below in the comments. You got any more other pending brilliant thoughts before we say bye?
I don't think I had a brilliant thought in the first place.
My brilliant thought. Like and subscribe. Love you guys. See you guys soon. Peace.
Where's my Patriots point that I was looking up?
I already started recording. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not looking at the camera at this point, so I'm like, where am I?
You should just go on the bloopers where people feel like we just know sports news from the very start, but we're just like really just Googling CBS.
Yeah, I mean that's normal. ESPN. I don't think anyone is just gonna be like, oh, I have everything planned ahead of time.
You memorize it. You should show off one day your ability of all the Super Bowl MVPs.
I think that's a very obvious thing, though. I think
most people do not know that.
I think that's more of a party trick than it is like a.
It is a party trick.
Yeah,
that's fine. It's a weird party trick.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a party trick. We'll do that in another video.
I think that's an easy Googleable.
Shall we get into this video?
I guess we have to now. So.